Part 2 on the Airline 5 tube radio. Going to go through and just do a couple quick things this morning. Check the tubes, and once it warms up a little bit out here, I'm going to glue the speaker. But I was looking at this button assembly, and I don't know if it'll show, but there's a little spring there. That little wire spring. Well, they're all missing on all these other. And also there's got to be some other parts missing off of this. So I talked to the owner. We're just going to leave that alone. He just uses this with an AM, one of those like SS Tran AM transmitters to broadcast his own programming to the radio. This silver, can see it's quite big here. It's a lot smaller there. It's pretty big there. That shiny thing. That is tungsten evaporation from the filament, and that indicates that these have a lot of hours on them. I don't know how many hours it takes to get to that. Maybe 20 to 50,000 hours. It's got to be a lot of hours. So we're going to go through and test these things. I couldn't find my standard Syncor meter, or tube tester, so I grabbed the military one. And this thing is extremely time consuming to use compared to the Syncor emissions tester, and I'm used to the Syncor tester, so I have a feel for it, where this I have to just rely more on what the book says. So I got my yellow fingernail polish here. You go through and we'll put a dot on them if they're good. We'll check it out. Starting with the 35Z5, the minimum is 40. And it's measuring right about 40. So no surprise there with the amount of filament boil off. I would expect that the filament would probably go open before the emissions would go to 0. The 12SA7 and press 3, and the minimum is 50. So that one, let's drop the voltage down to 10 and see what it does. This meter sticks at 80. So that one's good. This is checking the triode section of the 12SQ7. A lot of boil off there. And the minimum on this one is, let's see, minimum is 19. Fail. This is the 12SK7, and the minimum is supposed to be 48. Oh, really? This is the 35L6, and this one looks okay. Oh yeah. Puts a good amount of load on that. Well, what did I set? That was what they wanted the bias at. They wanted the bias at 33 and the shunt at 0, and they wanted it on a range D. No surprise that the ones with the most filament boil off are the ones that are weak. And this one happens to be, see, which one was it? Was an original Ward's Airline one. Maybe it's, oh, it is the 30, it is this one. Really no surprises here. We have the two with the most apparent tungsten boil off from the just hours on it are not testing up to par. Would I change them? Not necessarily. We'll check the B plus. If I could figure out what model this is and get a schematic on it, we'll check the B plus and see if this thing is actually weak. But if you're not going to use it for DXing or whatever, why worry about it until they fail? But you could change this one and that one. The other three are good. We know the eye tube is dead, but you included another one of those, so we'll pop your new eye tube in. But besides that, I wouldn't. Two of them are bad. The complaint on this radio was that it would get distorted after it ran for a while, which the most likely cause of that is a leaky grid capacitor. I'd like to prove that just for the entertainment value. This is not a hot chassis set. The line is not directly connected to the metal chassis. It's isolated through a capacitor, so when doing measurements, you have to check that because you don't want to get a false reading because you're not on ground. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to meter the grid voltage on the output tube and we'll see what it does. Now another common cause of that is these things get leaky, and that won't show up on the tube tester. After 10-15 minutes they'll start getting grid leakage and biasing themselves, and that doesn't show up on a tube tester. So tube tester is not always the sure answer.
The unusual merger of green technology
and the grid appears to be 3 volts positive, and that should be 0, I would think, but it all depends on what the cathode is. I can check the cathode. The cathode is pin 8. It's a nice thing about this kind of tube tester is you look it up there and it dial it in here and it tells you what the pins of the tubes are. So if the cathode is 0, then the grid should be -10, and if the cathode is +10, then or +13, then the grid can be +3. The grid just always has to be negative of the cathode about 10 volts, around 10 volts. So let's check pin 8. And the cathode is 8 volts, so we have only 5 volts negative there, and that is excessive bias. Okay, here's the next trick to figure out if the tube is leaky or if it's the capacitor. I'm going to pull the tube out with the radio hot and turned on, and that voltage, if it's the tube, that positive voltage will drop to 0. If it's a capacitor, the positive voltage will probably stay the same or might go up a little bit because the
Oak Park 56, Ontario 55, and Pasadena 56 at 9:57.
Hi, this is Jennifer York. When an Audi A5 Capital.
Yep, it's the capacitor. Now what'll happen is the rectifier will start to cool off and the voltage will drop. At least it should drop at some point, I would hope. There it goes.
$89.99 triple play and get ultra fast 100 meg internet, unlimited calling.
No surprise there that the capacitor's leaky. Okay, that capacitor needs to go for sure. Probably a whole bunch of other ones.
Lately, ahead of the president's visit this weekend, I'm Dan Ravi. Things have changed.
Just keeps creeping up. I wouldn't say it's distorted necessarily, but it's not as clean as it was when it was cold. We'll have to change that capacitor and see what this voltage does. Change the grid coupling capacitor, and that got our voltage down to 0, and it stays at 0. So that fixed that. Now I was playing with checking this capacitor, and I was just checking the AC across it, and it's bad.
Vehicle tying up one of the middle lanes of the roadway in Burbank, 5 southbound, Golden State Freeway approaching Alameda Avenue.
It should be coupling that AC off the ground, and it is that this electrolytic, which is a cathode bypass, is bad. Changing that, it'll make it a little bit louder and it'll have a little bit more bass. That capacitor there needs to go for sure. It looks like it's melting. Look at this, 0.0017. That's an interesting value. I wonder how I'm going to come up with that. I think that one down there is leaking. You can see how it's melting. This one, someone had cut it loose and tested it. I'm going to just replace all of these. This is the across the line cap. That's got to go. The only thing I don't think I'm going to change is this electrolytic. I tested this. It's perfect. It doesn't look that old. And this is a Sprague Adams dry electrolytic. And Zenith used a lot of these dry electrolytics, and I can't say that I've ever seen one go bad. They don't have anything in them to dry out. And I wish I could see a date code on it, but I don't think it's that old at all. Yeah, that thing it's not that old. This thing has 0 hum, and I checked it and it's right on. I'm not going to screw with that. This is a good American-made cap right here. But the rest of this stuff, I mean, look at this.
A shooting in Gardner kills 1 and injures 2. Those stories and a lot more, plus traffic every 10 minutes on the 5s coming up after CBS News covers the world. It's 4 o'clock.
CBS News. I'm Harley Carnes. President Obama and the First Family make history, the first president to visit the island in 88 years.
President Obama greeted Cuba.
Went to the electronics store and got the capacitors. Gonna just go ahead and recap this. Not gonna waste a bunch of time on it. Is it gonna make any difference in the performance? No, not at all. It's 0.0017. Of course, that doesn't exist anymore, so I'm not quite sure what I'm gonna do with that. And it's pretty burnt from being under this resistor, being on top of it. I got a 0.0015. This connects to the shortwave switch. I don't know, got to figure that out. But for now, because basically these two I wouldn't really need to change because there's no DC voltage across them, but in order to get to that one down there, which has full B plus across it and is melting, I got to get these out of the way. So might as well just shotgun it. It's all recapped, and I wanted to show something, which is the across the line cap. I've heard people say you can leave it out.
Just for driving your car, and because it's totally flexible, you don't have to quit your day job to make more money, because you can drive and earn whenever you want. There are 3 simple steps to start making money. First, sign up for free on your phone. Second, answer a few questions and get approved. And third, start driving. So, what are you waiting for? Sign up today at drivewithuber.com. That's drive with UBER.
Think you can run it without the across the line cap, which was this. New eye tube is in, it's recapped. I'm going to glue the speaker, then we'll align it, then I'm going to fix this, and then I'm done with it. It's on its way home.
Southern California's only 24-hour news traffic station, KI.
KNX 1070 News Radio. I'm Mike Simpson.
And I'm Diane Thompson. Stories coming up.
It's less money than they wanted, but the OC Register has a buyer.
We'll get this inside. Speaker is glued and sounds good. The whole entire receiver seems a bit deaf to me, though. I would expect a lot more out of this.
Invasive surgery for brain tumors. More people now live more comfortably thanks to the Keck effect. More breakthroughs for neurological disorders.
I would just expect a lot more out of this. Okay, let's do an IF alignment. The IF frequency is 456 on this. Let's see, AM. I just have the output just laying right there, so. Alignment is dead on. Why is it so deaf? Now I realize the antenna is kind of back here, but still it should. I would expect more than this. I really would. Okay, that's shortwave, 4 megahertz. Shortwave is definitely working.
Emigrated to this country from some other place on the face of the earth. Aren't you?
How come you can't just say, all right, let's put this little being back into heaven and let it come back in a healthier body? Man versus Superman, Wonder Woman wins. Big movie premiere last night and a big opening this weekend. Time to talk superheroes with Entertainment Tonight's Samantha Harris.
Okay, I got it woken up quite well by adjusting this and rocking this back and forth and finding the sweet spot between the oscillator and the tuning capacitor. You know, I think, like Chris said, China, some Chinese firm will be more than willing to buy up all of these CBS stations. The China's buying this country up like crazy, so why not some radio stations? They already bought K-Day, the hip-hop station.
And thank you very much. Stay safe there in Brussels. A reminder, you can hear KNX In-Depth Terror in Brussels again at 8 o'clock tonight. You can find a link to the podcast on our website, cbsla.com. Coming up in just 5 minutes, what impact will the attack in Europe have on the travel industry here at home? It's been called a reality show and an embarrassment to the country. And those are the nice things.
I would have never thought this could have happened.
It's the 2016 presidential campaign, and it's rolling on toward November.
We're not going to get there by bashing women.
Be oh so afraid. Live in fear. Make decisions and act on irrational fear and emotion.
1530.
I'm pretty much done with this. There's one thing I'm not real happy with, which is there's buzzing on some of the channels. Not hum from filter, but buzzing. And it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I tried changing the rectifier just because it didn't test that good, and it didn't do it.
Until I got this off of World Star Hip Hop. I love World Star Hip Hop. Who doesn't? I mean, honestly. But Cat Williams has been really freaking
So you can see that's
out
not that strong.
of trouble recently. He got in trouble at a Beanie Siegel concert.
BMW of Valencia. It is time for a change, an uptick, longer days to drive around and take it all in. 0.9% APR financing for 72 months on all.
Seems like we still have a ways to go. Yeah, Lakers going to have some very interesting decisions to make.
If you have tried Viagra or Cialis, or if you've ordered an over-the-counter product in the last few years, Knoxville is an option that is completely private, has received tremendous reviews, and can be at your door in just days.
Ahead of us and the goals that we have, and it just seems that his dad was never there for him. And
Only AP station.
You hear there's no buzz here.
Entonces, mire, escuche con atención. Para todos aquellos que tienen la situación similar al refugio, todas
And set the lanes from the left tied up. If you're on the 91 westbound side past Harbor, new crash reported there in.
I mean, listen, what is that?
Here to do a debt-free screen. Absolutely. Yes. I love it. How much have you paid off?
We paid off $61,000 in 18.
박스 14불 99전, 자연 담은 현미 6불 99전, 동서 맥심 커피 믹스
No buzz at all.
통통배 지리 멸치 6불. We can
Refinanciarle y ahorrarle miles de dólares. ¿Que veas? Sí, el puro paquetito menos.
a los demás.
No buzz at all.
프로야구 구단 초창기에도 MB 시청용이
When, because I was watching, I was back.
So I don't quite know what to think of this buzzing. All the caps are done. They're all right. I've double checked them. I even changed some of them around, bridged them, nothing. The alignment is done by the instructions fully. I've checked everything and everything is good. Maybe this buzzing is something that's in this house or this area. Maybe one of these CFLs or something is starting to malfunction. One of these Chinese LED drivers. I harvested the tube to test out of that Firestone I restored. Let me try that radio. We'll see if it buzzes.
On their left hand. The one glove on their left hand, what we're hearing is that's about hiding a detonator or having one of those automatic detonator switches that go.
Here's Lakers 1 and 2, so win today, Jeff.
Who he is, but they believe they know his identity. But the brothers, they do know. One was involved in the bombing at the airport, and the other was involved.
All right, well, thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome. God bless you.
Free consultation. That's 888-20-CLAIM. 888-20.
Same exact thing. It's got to be something here locally with the power line or something. This thing is ready to go home.